Hello, today I'm joined by my guest Ben Marley from GeoCale. Ben, how you doing?
I'm very good, David. Thank you. It's hump day. Well, it is today
It,
anyway. So
we're
the
we're going
weekend
to
is
date
closer.
this recording, not least because obviously outside your window we can see that the weather is fantastic, but we're in the middle of what, like our fourth heat wave of the summer.
It is, although in my office we have climate control and it's I come dressed appropriately for the office rather than the outside because I spend more time in here than anywhere else.
I don't fare well in this sort of weather, so stay hydrated, folks. Whilst you're staying hydrated, so Ben, I've got to say, you guys are a bit of a sensation. You took to the stage last year at the Relocation Agent Network conference, and I'm not just blowing smoke here, but the feedback that we got from different speakers, you were rated almost as highly, if not higher, than anybody else, and I think because the sort of the gospel that you preach, if you like, about Google is just so relevant to every business in terms of getting found. And when you listen to the rationale behind it, you just suddenly go, "Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now show me how to do it." So and I think it's been going down the storm, and you've helped. We spoke off camera about one particular agent in one locality that was not showing up on searches. They were somewhere near number 12. They're now the first one that you see when you look at that particular area. That's just an example of what you've been able to do so far. But we live in a very fast changing world of AI and other things that keep getting thrown our way. And as agents, we could do one of two things. We can either go, "Oh my God, I can't keep up with this. This is just too much. I'm not playing this game." Or we could give Ben a call, right?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. Pretty special intro there. I need to maybe reconsider my invoice for RAN in the future. No, it's all good. No, thank you. Yeah, I mean, look, this is one of those things that I think, as we were just talking about off air, that most people are really unaware of actually what happens with people searching for the services that an agent offers and provides. And I guess just to kind of just recap that, what we were saying is that there's so much talk at the moment where solutions or offerings or just kind of the new way of thinking, trying to think differently about the fact that you know trying to predict, well, where could the next house come to market based
Yeah.
on historical data, how long someone's lived there, what type of demographic was that someone was there, etc. Everyone's like really focusing and investing, which is not saying it's a bad thing to do or not the right thing to do, about where that next property could be and try to put yourself in front of it. That a lot of people would, nearly everyone's forgotten about. What about the people that are just coining the phrase Googling it? And actually when you look at the numbers per town as to how many people are actually doing this, it is eye-watering, David,
It
as to
is, isn't
how
it?
much activity that is actually happening in every single town. Now we've got the data of what happens in every single town for the number of people that are doing these searches. And as we're kind of saying, in every household there will be normally one of two people, but you'll normally have both of these people in a household whereby they're either looking to sell before they look to buy, or they're looking to buy before they look to sell. In both eventualities, there will be a high proportion of people that will definitely be googling estate agent in my town, and you might have the people that are maybe more long tail doing research, who are saying, well, who's good, what do they do, what's their reputation like, etc. They will be doing the more long tail searches. Then you have the other, maybe slightly more impulsive character in a household, or maybe there's two in every household. I don't know, whereby they've just walked to the shop or walked the kids to school, or they've driven down the road. They've just seen the house that they've been eyeing up for the last 10 years, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my goodness, this house has come up for sale. We've got to put our house on the market quick, right? Estate agent my town, right? Who should we use? Right, we just need to get some people out to come and value our house straight
Yeah.
away." What happens is that Google Map position has actually been the first thing that people organically see now since 2018, which is a little bit mad to think that. But no one's really understood that that is where the lion's share of engagement now happens. And it is nearly half of all people that engage with someone on page one will actually engage with one of those top 3 businesses, or even click more businesses underneath. So for local searches, for local businesses and those local towns who are serving your local community, if you can get ahead of the competition to make sure that you are there, you're one step ahead of the game, because Google will always present back 3 results. And if it ain't you, then guess what? It's going to be someone else. So
Yeah.
if you want to be one of those 3, then you need to try and do something about it. Then, since we've launched back in October, there has been a massive, I wouldn't necessarily say massive shift, but there's definitely been a big culture change globally in everything, and that is the world of AI.
Yeah.
When you talk to a lot of businesses, and they will often say, ask them the question about, what are you doing about AI? And they will pretty much give me all the same response. To go, yeah, we use ChatGPT in our business.
We write some blogs with it. It's great.
And we're on the paid for version as well, right? And they go, oh, okay, cool. What about your customer? And then they go, what do you mean? And they say, well, what about if your customer's using AI to look for an agent? As we said, ChatGPT is right now kind of the most commonly known one, and obviously other AI models will come and will potentially overtake.
Yeah.
We just don't know yet who's going to be around, but they all work off a different algorithm to that of search engines. And there's just this blank look, and no one's gone, well, what does happen if I search who's the best estate agent in such and such town in there? And actually, they all work off a completely different algorithm to that of the search engine. And now it becomes a whole new game.
It's hugely important as well, because there is and I've noticed this, there is a whole different age demographic as well, who are somehow far more comfortable to rely on ChatGPT or AI. And funnily enough, it's not the younger generation. The older generation that would have Googled things typically now feel that they have some sort of trusting relationship with ChatGPT, because they ask it everything from, what should I do with the dog when it's making this sort of noise, and should I go to the doctor if I have this sort of symptom? But they're also then asking it, who's the best estate agent? What's the nearest shop for this, that, and the other? And they do trust the results that it brings out. Now, we all know that the results do vary, and you shouldn't necessarily trust everything that you see. But there is an entire cohort of people, and particularly that older, I see this, that older generation say, yeah, I've researched it. Where did you research it? ChatGPT. And so I think getting in front of those people is immensely important for businesses.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And if anyone says, oh, our demographic of client is older and they don't do the internet, then you are kidding yourselves, because the internet has been around for over 30 years, right? And it's like email was created in 1993. So anyone who says, well, all our clients are in their 70s, well, they were 40 when the internet came around, and guess what? They've all been using the internet since then,
They
and
all love a
everyone
bit of
does.
AI. They do. And I think there's a curiosity around AI, because you hear about it on the news, you see it in the papers. It is a big part of the public conversation at the moment, which wherever you look, it affects every part of life. And I think there's this curiosity that you want to see what all the fuss is about, so you want to check it out yourself.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what age group you belong to, somebody has had a go at a large language model at some point in the past. But they adopt it. And I think they run with it. They use it as their day-to-day sort of search. And yeah, it's been surprising in some ways that has replaced a traditional Google search. But that's where we're going with this. Google are
Yeah.
onto it, and they released something fairly recently which has changed the game a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we're going to kind of try and do some early synopsis of how do people use search, and do they use search engines or do they use LLMs, that the difference being between the two is that you can be quite specific with your large language model search, and it's going to bring back quite finite detail from websites that you may not necessarily think that it's going to bring back, because it will use reference points on platforms that maybe search engines wouldn't necessarily be wanting to promote. Whereas your kind of quick type search is more geared around quick responses. So what we're kind of getting at with this is that it's good to have both covered, because otherwise you're kind of leaving it to chance that you're only going to be potentially discovered or found in one of two scenarios rather than both of those. So you're absolutely right. Google AI mode was launched at the tail end of last week. And like all things Google, they don't tell anyone that it's happened. They don't make any public announcements or anything at all. They just launch it, and then all of a sudden, like huge game of Chinese whispers globally, stuff gets passed around. And it's quite interesting. Obviously, Google, if you're going to compare Google AI mode to ChatGPT, the difference with Google and Google AI mode is that it has a huge amount of historic data that it can pull from, but also the fact that Google has products, whereas ChatGPT and other LLMs don't have products. And what we're referring to with that is that you think about Google reviews. Google owns that. That's a Google product, is a Google review. Your Google Business Profile that is a Google product. Google Maps is a Google product. So when Google uses Google AI mode, it's now going to pull on resources that it knows and trusts because it owns the IP on that data. So if someone does a search in Google AI mode for who's the best estate agent in such and such town, and by once we can share the screen and kind of do a live example of this, it's actually going to pull on the data and the product that it's got access to. And then if you use ChatGPT and run the same search, you get a completely different result, because it will not pull on Google reviews, your Google Business Profile, because guess what? Those in the world of ChatGPT almost don't exist because they're not linked to a website.
Ben, if you don't mind, I think it would be immensely helpful if you can show us in action what you've just said.
Absolutely. So if somebody does, to coin the phrase, Google St Albans estate agents, what happens is that you always get your paid ads that appear at the top, and then your organic bit that appears underneath here is then your companies down here. So you can see here your Bradford and Howley, Frost and Collinson Hall. And these are the ones that are going to be sharing the lion's share of engagement of people who are doing this search. If you switch it into Google AI mode, you'll notice here that Maps is one of the things. It very briefly came up there that it's picking it up from. It is now picking out the data that it can find from Google Business Profile. So if you see here, you can click on this. This is their Google Business Profile. It's their reviews, and this is where it's getting a lot of its data from. If we then come back, let's just go back here, and if we then ask Google, who's the best estate agent in St Albans, it still wants to try and pull on the information that it can get from its Google Business Profile data. But if we then switch that over to AI mode, it still uses info from Maps there as well. And what you notice now is it's now pulled that information. Collectively, the Bradford and Howley have got 4.9 rating, 573 reviews. And again, you can see here, it's using Google Business Data information. So if you are a business that is thinking, well, how do we get more exposure to that local market? We want to get in front of people that are actively looking for an agent who want to sell their home. This is a really good way of being able to do that, because this is an audience that is actively searching for the services that you provide. Your Google Business Profile effectively is powering Google AI mode for a localized search. If we then run the same search, and I think it might even still be on the screen here, let's just run this as a new chat there. If we then put the same search into ChatGPT, what we'll see is that
we're not seeing ChatGPT.
Oh, we're not seeing ChatGPT. Bear with me 2 seconds because I didn't share. Great. Let's just go over to ChatGPT, run a new search, then run it again. Again, the slight error there, David, shows authenticity in the production of this, you know. So we've now run same search, ChatGPT, and what you'll notice here is that it's now pulling out different results. It's now recommending different businesses, and it's actually pulling data from sources that isn't an agent's website, i.e. that we've got.
It's entirely different, isn't it? I mean, it bears no resemblance really to the other thing. So
And
you couldn't guarantee on it to sort of draw the same sources.
yeah, and a lot of this is down to the fact that it's trying to make its own assumption based on the question that you've asked it and what it's got access to. So this now doesn't have access to a Google Business Profile. It doesn't have access to your Google reviews directly, so it won't know necessarily what the time period is that you've collected those over, or et cetera, et cetera. It will go on data that it can now obtain from other third-party websites, i.e. St Albans Times here.
Yeah.
Estate property agents and all agents here, for example, and you'll see various other sources that it can pull this data from. But it's actually bringing back. So if you're an agent and you might go, "Oh, that's cool. I'm recognised up here." If I search for something online, or if you search something online, David, and it's now the LLM or your search engine has now said, right, this business here is the one that we think is a good one to recommend based on the search thing. What do you want to do from there? Like what's your next? What's the next thing that if you're holding your phone, you've just put into ChatGPT, who's the best estate agent in St Albans on ChatGPT, and it's now giving you Collinson Hall there, and you go, cool. Where do I go from there?
I'm presuming you would want to then sort of open up their
Click,
website or
tap,
link to them. Yeah.
click,
Yeah.
or tap on the
Good.
link,
Yeah.
right? So if we did that on here, what it's now done, it's now brought us to St Albans Times,
Yeah. I
not
see.
to an agent's website.
Yeah.
So now I've now got to go through the arduous process of now going back to Google to search for that
The
agent
same thing. Yeah.
and go through that process again. So actually, if I then go, oh, actually, who was it again? I can't remember, and I now just Google St Albans estate agents, I'm now seeing other results. So who was that one that we got there? You
It
imagine
was
you're flicking through your phone.
Yeah, it was
It's not as
Collinson Hall, but
straightforward.
it's hard, isn't it? It's really hard.
It's not as straightforward,
Yeah.
right? So with this kind of evolution of ChatGPT and, as I said, other LLMs, what we are now able to do is to help businesses to be discoverable by these large language models. And there's a specific way that we do that. And we will also be implementing an AIO strategy, so an AI optimization for every business that we work with on this, so that they can now be discoverable. Does this mean that you will be guaranteed to be shown up every time? No, because it will be based on the criteria of the searchers. So somebody, for example, could put into ChatGPT, I'm looking to sell my 4-bed barn conversion that is near this school. These are the best selling points of my house. Who should I go and talk to? Well, it's going to want to try and match the data. So, you know, what we're trying to do is help businesses to be discoverable, help them to allow their website, allow their strategy, that if they're really good at selling a particular type of property in a price point or in a specific location, etc., you need to be discoverable, and you need to be in a position whereby that LLM can actually find you and then promote you as well.
So this is the sort of new service that you are now offering to estate agents, but it's not available to everybody. You do work with
No.
a bit of exclusivity, don't you, Ben? So tell us a little bit about how your model works.
Sure. So quickly, just to, without this sounding like it's an over sales pitch, we do work exclusively to one estate agent per town. So we don't define it by postcodes, we define it by town, because that's how someone would search for estate agent location town. With that exclusivity, that then means that we obviously don't engage with any other agent. And the reason behind that we do that is that, let's just say we worked with an agent and we got them up from number 7 to number 3. And then we took on another agent and they suddenly became number 2, which meant that the number 2 agent became the number 3, and the number 3 that we were working with now drops out of the map. That doesn't sit very well with me. So we will only ever work with one agent per town, and that will be exclusive for the entire time that we are working with that agent. We do have some waiting lists already, which are for locations that we've got sewn up already. So, we do have people kind of like saying, we want to work with you, we want to get higher up there kind of thing. And that obviously just has to come around if that ever does become available. The other thing just to mention, just in terms of that kind of AI optimization and stuff that we're doing, that also now extends to voice search as well. So voice search is now used by 20% of adults now on a daily basis. So when you're thinking about Google AI mode and you're thinking about ChatGPT, guess what? You can even sat in your phone and you can just say, I'm looking for ... that kind of stuff. We can optimize for that.
And let's quantify that a little bit further, because people sometimes, for whatever reason, forget that, things like Alexa and Google
Siri
that might have at home,
Google Assistant.
Siri, all of those things that we do, and we search for, that's also voice search. It doesn't necessarily need to be your computer. It doesn't need to be your mobile phone. It can also be those plug-in devices that we all have. I mean, everybody seems to either have an Alexa or a Google Home kit, whatever it
Echo Dot,
is. Yeah. So, you know, other implements are available, but we use it more often than we actually give it credit for.
It's again, I think it's coming back to the way that people search is changing. It's not saying that it has changed completely, and there will be an extremely high proportion of people that will still revert to traditional typed searches on search engines.
Yeah.
And we have that covered because we also do Bing, Apple Maps, as well as Google. So we know that we've got all of that covered there. We also know that a lot of people now use voice search. And again, this is like a misconception that it's only the certain generations that are doing it. You couldn't be further from the truth. Do you know how easy it is to sit in your car with Apple CarPlay and just go, hey, Siri, or etc., and you can start to do a search through your car there. Well, guess what? People have to be of a certain age to be able to have that in their car already, right?
Yeah.
So we know that a lot of people are shifting more towards voice search because sometimes you're not able to type, sometimes it's easy to be able to do it. And we also know that there is a huge shift coming with the LLMs as well. So kind of pinning it all back, we know that Google Maps, Google Business Optimization, etc., is the backbone of everything because it's powering so many different things. But as this shift starts to increase, and this is going to happen rapidly, and if you talk to some experts, Simon Ledbetter has been very, very vocal about this for some time. He has been quoting that within the coming months, the AI mode will become people's default search rather than traditional search. That is the way that I think people will start to move. There was an article that released on Monday morning saying that in America, 32% of searchers have now made AI mode their default search as opposed to traditional search.
It's scary, isn't it? But it is, you can't ignore it. And I think as a business, it's almost suicide to sort of, to ignore that you need to get ahead of this. You need to sort of program the information that you're pumping out there. It's not enough just to simply sort of have standard blog content that just mildly creates relevant local content like we used to say. Yes, that stuff is also good, but we need to give those LLMs the fodder that it wants and that it's looking for.
Again, not trying to say that everyone does this, but I talk to a lot of agents, and the phrase of all of our business comes from recommendations still gets banded around a lot, which is just not factually correct. A lot of that means that they just don't track or they don't actively invest heavily in kind of external marketing. They do. They just don't. They just think that everyone comes from recommendation. What you have to think is that these are people out there that are saying, I'm looking to use an estate agent. Those searches, however you're doing them, whatever platform that you're using, is going to bring back results. If you're not doing something to make a concerted effort to be found on those, someone else will.
Ben, fascinating as always. There's loads more I know that you are doing for agents and that you can do. It's fairly easy to communicate with you guys. If an agent's watching this and they want to sort of learn a bit more, first of all, check out whether or not those towns are available on the exclusivity basis as well, but also talk to you about what you currently do for businesses with Google and also these new services. What's the process? Do they jump on a call with you guys? How does it go?
100%. So if anyone's curious about how you're currently comparing to your competition in your town, there's a free report that you can download from our website, which is just at geocale.co.uk. That will give you a pretty good synopsis of, in terms of Google, how that currently looks. Everything that we do, so when we work with multi-branches, everything is bespoke on a by branch basis, because town to town, you're going to have different markets, different demographics, and invariably price points, etc. So everything that we'll do, we'll kind of treat on a one-to-one basis with that client.
Fantastic. Can't ask for anything else. Ben, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank
We
you.
will catch up with you again soon. You keep alluding to more changes that are coming down the line with AI, so I think we're going to have to keep in touch with you on a regular basis to find out where this is up to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to say I have it all worked out and I know where it's all going. Our job is to try and keep our clients ahead of the game. We react and solve problems.
That's it. Ben, thank you so much.
Thank you.